Over on Jaguar Gator 8, a new college football video is out. In this video, we talk about a bizarre controversy involving Navy at the 2008 Eagle Bank Bowl, and how the bowl game broke their contract. Click the card in the upper right corner to watch. And now, on with our feature presentation. Let's go back a bit. It's December 10th, 1978. It's week 15 of the NFL season, and we have a game on our hands between two of the worst teams in football, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting at 5-9 and as losers of 5 of their last 6 games, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, sitting at 1-13 and as losers of their last 9 games. This game looked bad on paper, and somehow underperformed expectations, as it ended with the 49ers winning 2 field goals to 1, taking it 6-3, with 9 total turnovers, 15 total penalties, and with the ball being placed on the ground 10 times. Trust me, it was bad. However, in the fourth quarter, with the score tied at 3 apiece, the Bucs were faced with a 4th and 15 situation at the 30-yard line. The Bucs felt as though they had to go for it. It would have been a 47-yard try for their kicker, Dave Green, who was not even a kicker, as he was their punter that had to be forced into action due to an injury from Neil O'Donoghue. And even though Green had made a 48-yard field goal at one point in his career, when he tried a 35-yarder earlier in this game, it barely had enough distance to make it. Because of that, the Bucs felt as though they had a better chance at converting 4th and 15 than they did with Green kicking a 47-yard field goal to give them the lead. Head coach John McKay even flat out said that at no point did he even consider Green to take the kick. And this was the play that the Bucs had drawn up.
4th down, 15 needed for the first down. They go with the razzle-dazzle, mucker on the end around, 30, 25, and caught at the 23-yard line. Not enough for the first down.
Yeah, really stupid. And to the surprise of no one, nowhere close to a first down. I might do a dumb decisions episode on this absolutely horrible call during the off-season when I do some historical episodes, because you can all see why calling a reverse play on 4th and 15, especially when your longest run of the day was 11 yards, is a really bad idea. So why do I bring this oddly specific play up from over 40 years ago that only the oldest and most diehard of Bucs fans even remember? Because up until yesterday, that held the distinction for the stupidest play call in Buccaneers history on 4th down in a possible field goal situation on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, that is a very specific scenario, but up until yesterday, that held the title. And then, Todd Bowles decided to come along and say, screw that, John McKay, I'm coming for your crown. Because in what was an absolutely atrocious display, in what has been an absolutely atrocious and underwhelming season for the Bucs, perhaps no place sums up how bad they were and how poorly coached this team is than whatever the heck Todd Bowles was thinking here. For those who aren't watching this in the immediate aftermath of the game, here's a brief recap of how the game got to this point. It's December 11th, 2022. It's week 14 of the NFL season, and we have a big game on our hands over in San Francisco between the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To say that this felt like a must-win for the Bucs would be an understatement, especially since they were going up against the third-string quarterback on the opposite side making his first ever start in Mr. Irrelevant himself, Brock Purdy. It won't be the last time I bring up a player today who was Mr. Irrelevant. I'll say that much. The Bucs enter with a 1.5 game lead on the Atlanta Falcons for the lead in the NFC South. So if they won this game and took a 2-game lead with 4 to play, then things would be looking quite good for them heading into the home stretch as they look to make the playoffs for the 3rd straight season and win the division for the 2nd straight year. If they didn't win this game, then their lead would drop to 1 game. And at that point, anything can happen, and the division becomes wide open, especially with the Falcons making a quarterback change and the Carolina Panthers slowly but surely clawing their way back into this and playing some surprisingly decent football. Unfortunately for the Bucs, they got off to an absolutely atrocious start, as the 49ers got the ball to start the game off and moved down the field with ease. It took the Niners just 5 plays to drive 67 yards and score, when Deebo Samuel ran it in from 13 yards out. Alright, you're down 7-0 3 minutes into the game. It could be going better, I'll admit, but if you can score some points on this drive and answer, you can at least stop the Niners from having all the early momentum. Especially after whatever the heck happened last week against the Saints, getting off to a nice start here offensively would be good. The good news for the Bucs was that they were able to drive down the field, as they went from their own 23-yard line to the 37-yard line of the 49ers, getting into opposing territory thanks to some short passes on the part of Tom Brady and some nice running on the part of rookie running back Rachaad White. The bad news was that after Brady threw an incomplete pass on 3rd and 9, the Bucs were faced with 4th and 9 on San Francisco's 37-yard line. This is a tough call. On one hand, you could punt the ball and try and pin them deep, and try and make Brock Purdy drive 90 or so yards down the field. On the other hand, you could go for it here, and trust your offense to pick up 9 yards. The one thing you can't do here is kick the field goal. Your kicker, Ryan Succop, does not have a strong leg, and has about as much of a chance at making this kick as I have at being a football-playing king in space. As long as you don't bring the field goal unit out, we're Whoa, come on, wait a second, come on. Why are they kicking the field goal? Why are they kicking the field goal?
Succop, not even close. And the 49ers get a stand.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something that looked bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something that looked awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the minds of Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles. I'm impressed, Todd. Twice in 3 weeks you've been on this show. Really trying to make a late push for Nathaniel Hackett's crown, I see. You know, there are some guys that make the most of their second chance as a head coach following a failed first stint, like Bill Belichick, Marv Levy, and Mike Shanahan. And then, there are some guys that completely squander that opportunity and somehow look even worse than they did the first time around. And my God, Todd Bowles easily falls into that second category. His coaching all season has been nothing short of baffling, and this decision might be his most confusing of the season. It's tough to top what he did clock management-wise at the end of the Browns game 2 weeks ago, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner, and seeing as the Bucs got stomped 35-7, and Fox stations across the country flipped to the more competitive Panthers-Seahawks game due to how bad it was, this field goal attempt was not as important as his complete bungling of the clock and his timeout management. But it was just as stupid. It made no sense. So with that being said, let's take a look at why trying a 55-yard field goal when your kicker cannot make a 55-yard field goal is a really bad idea. Now you might be saying, wait a second, you're being way too harsh here. Plenty of kickers can hit 55-yarders. That's a makeable kick. And that's a kick that just about every team should try in that spot on 4th and 9. And to that I say, I completely agree. Except this isn't a normal team that we're talking about. And this isn't a normal kicker. This is Ryan Succop. The man is 36 years old. He played in 211 games over his career entering this one, attempting 375 field goals. A grand total of none of them went for 55 yards or longer. This would have been the longest kick of his career had he made it and got it to go through. Succop had been in the NFL since 2009, and at this point in his career, he had tried 7 field goals of 55 yards or longer. On those 7 kicks, he went 0 for 7, with most of them not being relatively close, especially distance-wise. You're watching a compilation of some of those kicks right now. In his career in the NFL, entering his 14th season, so going on nearly a decade and a half at this point, the man had never done this before. And now, here you are, asking him to kick from 55 yards on sea level, where the ball has significantly less carry, on a field that isn't particularly great for kickers. So bad. What's that saying about not being able to teach an old dog new tricks? But by itself, that's not enough for this to qualify as a dumb decision. You can see some obvious flaws in that logic. Anytime a coach has a player try to break their personal best and it fails, you could say it was a dumb decision. Again, that alone is not enough. By that logic, if a kicker tries a 51-yard field goal and is only made from 50, I could bash that move. Personal records are not permanent. They're meant to be broken. And sure, the odds that a 36-year-old kicker sets a career long in distance on a sea-level kick in less than ideal field conditions are slim. But that's fine. The extra dose of stupidity comes from the fact that during pregame warmups, Succop was out there kicking. Want to know the longest field goal he made? Want to know what his range was? 51 yards! A mere 51 yards. And yet, here was Todd Bowles, asking his kicker not just to try a kick that he had never made before in his career, but to make a kick that not only was he not comfortable with making based on past history, with his 14-year career and with warm-ups, but didn't even come close to hitting before. If you're a SpongeBob fan, you're going to appreciate this, because this feels so much like the logic used during the iconic wallet scene, with Todd Bowles playing the role of Patrick Star, and me, and every Bucs fan, and everyone with a brain playing the role of Man Ray. Is it true that Succop's career long is only 54 yards, and he's 0 for 7 on field goals from the 55-plus yard range? Yep. And is it true that Succop only hit from 51 during pregame warmups? Yep. So if we're in a spot that's 55 or more yards away, we should do everything else but try a long field goal, since he can't hit it. Makes sense to me. So call a play. Bring on the field goal unit. Like, the logic here is baffling. Here's a golfing analogy just to drive the point home even further. Let's say you're about to tee off on a par 3. It's 180 to the pin, but there's water in between the tee box and the green. In other words, you cannot miss short. If you miss short and hit it less than 180, your ball is drenched. Let's assume that there are no crazy weather conditions either, like 30-mile-per-hour winds that make the ball go way further than it usually does. You've played this course many times before, and every time you've lined up for this shot trying to use your 8-iron, you fall well short. You go to the range beforehand, and the maximum distance you're getting on your 8-iron is 140. There's not a single practice shot that you took beforehand that even came close to the 180 range. If you actually line up on this hole with an 8-iron in your hand, you're an absolute idiot, because that is a masterclass in how not to choose a club. I would not want you as my caddy. Well, that's exactly what Todd Bowles was dumb enough to do here. You called a field goal in a spot where you had no chance at getting it to go. Genuinely, I would love to know what Todd Bowles thought was going to happen on this play, because he must have been the only person on planet Earth, including Succop himself, that actually thought that Succop would make a 55-yard field goal when he came nowhere close to doing it in warm-ups and came nowhere close to doing it throughout his career. This season has featured some absolutely awful coaching by Bowles, with this being right up there near the top of examples that will be shown if and when he gets fired after this first season of his. So what do we learn from all this? If someone physically cannot do something, don't have him do it. If someone has never done anything like this before in his career, don't have him do it. If someone had no strength and power on this day in these conditions to get it done, then don't have him do it. And if you have two options that involve a play where that guy doesn't have to do something, and those two options, if they succeed, can increase your chances of winning, then don't call the third option of having that guy do something almost impossible for him that has about a 0% chance at working. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gator 9 merchandise by going to jg9shop.com, and be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL Trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at Jaguar Gator 9. To see college football videos, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To see highlight videos of players throughout the history of the NFL, subscribe to JG9 Highlights. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.